welcome back. This is Fast Mass Bodybuilding, the fundamentals of muscle growth. We're going to teach you everything you need to know about performance, how to build more muscle, how to stay strong, build strength, get lean, tight abs, and just crush all of your fitness goals. This is the Fast Mass Bodybuilding Performance Coaching Call. I'm Dylan, this is Dusty, and we're here to drop some knowledge for you today. So we got an important Q&A session going on today, and we had a question that popped out with one of our mastery calls that really stuck out to us. And Dusty and I really thought this would be a great topic to dive in on today. We want to talk about why you are not progressing, why you're not building muscle, why you are struggling so much with seeing any results in the gym. All right, there's a certain number of reasons. We're going to break down 5 different principles for why you are not progressing in the gym. So without further ado, let's dive on in. So guys, I know a lot of people will ask this question. I've heard this question many times. Dusty, you even said you heard this so many times, man. It seems like one of those common questions. People always get hung up on, why can I not see the progress that I want to make? You know, I'm putting in the effort, I'm doing X, Y, Z. I'm just not moving that needle to where I need to be. I'm not seeing progression. Honestly, I'm seeing degression sometimes. And there's a certain formula, if you will, that you need to apply right away and implement into your life that you'll start seeing progress. You start seeing serious progress fast. And it really is down to an exact science. Like there's a lot of these, the one thing that's going to help you achieve success, right? You see that all the time. And I even get caught up in thinking that way as well. But it's not really one thing that's going to help, that's going to get you across the line. It's really a combination of different things that are all going to work together to push you towards the finish line and help you cross it. But you got to realize that if one thing is broke in that mix, if one chain in the chain link fence is broken, then the whole chain is weak and it's going to shatter, right? You're only as strong as your weakest link. So in order to really maximize what we're about to tell you, you got to understand it's not just going to be one thing that's going to fix your problem. It's going to be a combination of everything, right? So let's dive in on this first principle. The first principle, and this happens so much, I see this in the gym all the time, people just are not focusing on the fundamentals. Whether they hear it from Instagram influencer, the latest technique to train your booty, and it's just some crazy new exercise or anything like that. You know, there's a bunch of so much content out there nowadays. It's so easy to drown in it. It's so easy to get overwhelmed. Well, we're going to give you the straight scientific facts here. All right. You need to focus on the fundamentals. And what I mean specifically by that, and Dusty's going to elaborate with this as well, we're talking about how you perform the movements, what type of movements you're doing, right? A lot of people try to mix things up so much that they're doing some crazy banded resistance ball, one-handed crazy exercise where you really don't need that stuff. You really just need to focus on compound movements to activate and stimulate a lot of muscle groups all at once. If you're burning fat and building muscle, that is the ultimate tool that's going to help you get there. It's all about maximizing your workload in the gym, making sure that you're training optimally, and making sure that you're really progressing from learning those fundamentals, making those slight improvements little bit by little bit and consistently sticking with it. So with that being said, there's a few different things. Dusty, you can definitely give some great examples here. We were talking about grip strength, right? Grip, and you're just not progressively overloading. Why don't you care to elaborate a little bit on that?
Sure. So I even saw this in the gym not too long ago. There was a guy next to me who was just doing like shoulder lateral raises, but was really focusing in on his grip too much, and his forearms were giving out before his shoulders were. So if that's the case, he's doing that every time. His shoulders aren't going to progress the way he needs to. So I gave him a quick tip, just take your thumbs out of it, redo your grip, and then you're able to really hit the muscles you need. So hitting that grip, your grip could be a limitation. If you're doing the same grip every time and your forearms are giving out, or, you're not feeling it where you need to, it could just be a simple grip change is all you need. So that you're able to focus in on the compound movement that you want.
That's good. That's good. And what's going to help you do that, guys, is being mindful, being aware. You know, taking your mind out of your brain, out of your head, and putting it into the rest of your body. More specifically, putting it into the muscle that you're trying to work. Like that example Dusty just said, where the guy was doing lateral raises, but he was taxing in his forearms before his shoulders. Just that switch of the grip literally changes everything. Just the subtle change in your technique can change everything, but you'll never know the change is needed unless you start to realize and analyze how you're doing the movement. Really see and ask yourself, is this working? Am I feeling it in the muscle that I'm supposed to be feeling this in? If the answer is no, then it's time to start assessing how you do it and start to really break down, okay, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? How can I improve? That's good. That's killer. Yeah, and I know another thing with training, a lot of people like to do the same thing over and over, or they like to switch it up constantly. Both ways here are to the extreme and can honestly lead you off course, lead you astray. Because you got to remember, the one thing that's going to, I just did it, the one thing, if you will, that's going to seriously make your muscles grow is constant stimulus. That is the one thing. You always want to make sure your muscles are stimulated. You want to make sure you're overloading that stimulus. You keep supplying more and more and more. If you get stuck in the repetitive pattern of doing the same thing over and over and over, never adding more weight or never changing up the reps or changing up the type of exercise you do, you're going to get stuck in that repetitive pattern and you're not going to progress. You're honestly just going to spin your tires right there. And I see that a lot in the gym. So What is progressive overload, guys? Let's dive in.
Every few weeks, you want to make sure you're continuing to go up in weight in whatever it is that you're doing. Your muscle there's this, strength curve where you will hit this plateau at one point. So let's say you're benching, at first 135, you can only get it 8 times. 2 weeks later, you're able to get it 12, but you consistently stay at that 135 on bench. Well, you've then hit that strength curve where you're at the plateau, right? You're not going to see any change. Your muscle fibers aren't going to react the same way that they would if you were to add in, even if you're adding in 5 pounds, that's still going to make that change. So you have to get past that strength curve in order to get past the plateaus. So progressively, it's called progressive overloading because over time you're just adding in more and more weight. And sometimes people don't do that enough. Your muscle grows based on strength, like those compound movements. Isolation exercises are great. It's good to hit those muscles that you can't always hit in your compound movements, but those compound ones are what you want to focus on to build that frame, to build more muscle, and that's how you're able to get bigger.
Exactly, guys. You cannot get something you've never had by doing the same thing over and over and over, by doing the things you've always done, right? You got to look at things differently. You got to see how you can improve on those things, and you got to always be willing to improve on those things, right? Not necessarily trying new things, but necessarily really focusing on, okay, how can I strengthen my core? How can I make my core stronger? Because at the root of every exercise we're talking about, especially compound, how your core strength is set up is definitely going to determine how you perform. All right. The stronger core, the stronger midsection, the better strength you're going to have, the more control over the movement you're going to have. And that's going to lead to more muscle growth, more definition, a leaner body, and burning more body fat on a daily basis. Right there. It really is honestly like a one-way path here, honestly, because a lot of people like to think of burning fat, you got to do a lot of cardio, right? Well, that's honestly not the way to do it. The way to do it, and studies are proving this now, science is showing the way to really create long-lasting fat loss, because sure, you'll burn fat on the cardio, on the treadmill and stuff, but you're going to gain it right back. The way to create long-lasting weight loss is to focus on building your muscle mass. There's so many studies that show longevity of health, especially as you age, is solely determined by how much muscle mass you have. Literally meaning the more muscle mass you create, the more muscle mass you grow, the more muscle mass you strengthen, you're going to live healthier and longer. It is black and white, proven facts. So in order to really see that weight loss, because that may be your goal. Maybe it's weight loss, maybe it's muscle growth, whatever it is, it's the same path, guys. That's what we're trying to get you to understand. It's the same route. You got to focus on the fundamentals. That's step one. All right. The next one, guys, this is super serious. A lot of people don't even talk about this, but it affects everything. It's your gut health. All right. If you have poor gut health, you will not digest and break down the nutrients properly. You won't absorb anything you put into your body, and you're just going to be left with bloating, gas, and a whole bunch of other dysfunctional issues. That's not going to lead to muscle growth. That's just going to cause you more stress in your body and ultimately damage yourself even more and more and more. So there's a few things we need to focus on for making sure your gut health is up to par. First, we got to focus on making sure you can eat the food. You don't have any issues and sensitivities to the certain foods. A lot of times, some people have dairy, lactose intolerance, a lot of people have issues with grains, with gluten, there's a whole bunch of different things, a bunch of sensitivities that people can grow and have in their body. And you got to be aware of this. You got to be super mindful of this. This is where being mindful comes into play, right? You got to understand how the body or how the food affects you. Notice, am I getting gas? Am I getting bloating? Is there indigestion afterwards? Is my stomach rumbling? All these stuff play a factor in how your food is digested. Because you could be on a bulk and you could be trying to build muscle and you could be getting 5,000 calories every day, but that doesn't mean you're going to grow. Because if you're not utilizing all those nutrients, it's just a waste, just going right through you, or maybe not. Which is also a problem. So making sure you understand what the food is doing in your body, that's key. Next with that, guys, making sure you're not eating too much sugar. Stay away from added sugars and stay away from a high sugar diet. It does nothing but destroy your system. It really does. And we can go into the science of that, but I feel like that would be a whole nother video on its own. But you got anything to add with that, Dusty?
I mean, we could just do a quick little thing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're getting into like the simple, because everything breaks down into carbohydrates over time, into like the glucose for, your cells, whatever. We don't have to get into the science too much, but if you're consuming too many simple carbs, which is going to be your sugars, they break down really, really fast. So if you're trying to get more muscle, that's just going through your body extremely, extremely fast, and it's not going to where it needs to go. Whereas if you're doing, the complex carbs, then that's something that's going to take longer to break down. Your muscles utilize it when they need instead of just being passed through your body.
Yeah, exactly, guys. You got to start being extremely aware of what food or how food affects your body. That is so important. So important. So making sure then to fix your gut health is going to be a very, very monumental step in seeing the progress that you want to see. So how do we do that? Simple. All right. If you don't already, start taking probiotics, prebiotics, probiotics. That will start to put the good bacteria that you need back into your system to make sure everything's running smooth. All right. Start taking digestive enzymes as well. There's a number of great products all over the shelves that really work and really help your system perform optimally. So those two are great sources, are great options for you to start implementing into your day, just to start making sure. Now, this is ultimately, if you don't want to go to supplement route, here's the best way to do it. Shoot for whole food. Vegetables, guys, green vegetables. You can never get enough of them. Make sure you start eating more green vegetables. I'm guilty of this. A lot of my clients are guilty of this. Dusty, I'm sure at one point you were guilty of this too. We all are. We all have problems getting a lot of green vegetables in, but it is so necessary. You will not see the muscle growth that you want to see without getting your green vegetables in. And why? It's because of the enzymes and the inhibitors that allow for muscle growth to happen. It's the nutrients that those vegetables provide that supply muscle growth, that aid muscle growth. It's not all about protein, guys. Protein helps. Protein is a necessary component, but think of it like Legos. Protein is only one type of blocks. You need a bunch of different other blocks to build a wall, to build a house, to build whatever you want to build. They all work together to build the end structure. So you got to make sure you're aware of that. All right. So fix your gut health, focus on the fundamentals. That's 1 and 2. Next, with gut health, your nutrition is just poor. It is not up to par. And the reason is because you're just not eating enough, right? You're not eating frequently enough. The average individual eats only 1 to 2 meals per day. That is not nearly anything close to what we need to seriously start progressing, all right? To start seeing muscle growth, to start burning more fat. I know this kind of sounds contradictory. Eat more to burn more fat. That just doesn't make sense, Dylan. What? But I'm telling you, it is the truth, guys. Your body responds in a way where everything is heightened once you start putting more food into it. And it's about the good food, though, not junk food. Good quality nutrients. You put more of that, more frequent small meals into your day, into your diet, you are going to see tremendous fat loss and tremendous muscle growth as well, simultaneously. That's key, guys. It's very key. Yeah. You got anything to add on that, Dusty?
Yeah, so like if, you know, sometimes I hear people say, well, I'm getting the calories I need in like my 2 meals, right? So yes, you are getting like maybe the correct amount of calories, but because you're in a caloric deficit for so long, it may be pulling that nutrition from your muscles instead of pulling it from your fat, because usually what it does is it pulls from your muscles first. So if, you know, you're in that caloric deficit, it's not going to go exactly where it needs to. So you want to make sure you're eating those small meals so that it's able to pull, you know, from the fat when you're burning it instead of from your muscles. So that could be why, you know, you're not seeing the muscle gains that you want to, because you're eating too big of meals and you're only eating them once or twice a day.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. You got to sustain it. You got to spread it out. It's about frequency, not just about volume. It's about how often you eat. That's so key, guys. Great point, Dusty. I love that. All right, next, guys, with your nutrition is poor, especially if you're not eating enough, your recovery is going to be poor. Now, this doesn't quite always reflect and manifest in terms of poor nutrition. It actually, a lot of the times, is responsible from lack of stress management. We are living in a hustle culture. We are bred to work. And at the fundamental level, in our DNA, that's how the human being, that's how we enjoy life. That's how we become fulfilled. Depression, anxiety, that sets in when we do not work, when we do not move towards a purpose. When we are stagnant and stay in place, that's what happens. We become overwhelmed with depression, overwhelmed with anxiety, and all these other mental illnesses start to set in that sense. The best way to fix it, Tony Robbins, every professional athlete, motivational speaker, billionaire, rich people in the world, powerful people in the world, they'll all say the same thing. Action is the cure all. It is, because if you want to change anything, you have to take action. If you want to live a fulfilling life, you have to take action and work. You have to do it. It's how we become fulfilled. Now, the problem here is when we continuously put in action without acknowledging that we're organic machines. And just like any machine, it needs a reset. It needs to be reset. So we can't just go without allowing a reset. This is why God gave the 7th day as called the Sabbath to rest, because when he made us in all of his infinite divine wisdom, he created us in a way to work extremely efficient and hard for 6 days, but we have to have that recovery day in order to stay optimal, in order to stay alive. Now, there's a lot of science that starts to really dive in and explain why this is, and it has a lot to do with your dopamine response, with the motivation factor of when you do things, that's when the dopamine is released, and that's when you get motivation. And if you're constantly stimulating yourself and your dopamine response, you're eventually going to make it even harder to hit that threshold. You're going to have to get more and more and more. This is the reason why heroin addicts and addicts like that have to take more and more and more, and continuously hooked, because once they take that first one, their threshold, their dopamine threshold, just to be happy and just to live fulfilled and get that motivation, it skyrockets. Then they have to meet that again, and it skyrockets even more. And it's just endless cycle of trying to reach that new high that you're always chasing, right? It's the same thing when you're constantly stimulated through social media, through work, through all this stuff. You're not allowing the reset to happen. You need that. It's how we are hardwired in our minds. We need that to happen that way. So you got to focus on stress management. And there's a few things that you can absolutely implement today in order to do that. One, meditation. Very, very, very successful across the board. Always going to help you. Another one is really just getting more sleep, right? A lot of people don't do that. It's such a simple thing, but we got to focus on getting more sleep, and then we can dive in even more to how are we sleeping? Because we can get 10 hours of sleep, but is it really good sleep? That's the question. If you look at your phone or look at light up until the minute that you go to bed, if you watch TV all night up until the minute you go to bed, your brain is still turned on. Stimulation happens when you look at light, and that sends out serotonin that wakes you up instead of the melatonin that gets you into bed and calms you down and puts you into a sleep state. All right. So if you're going to sleep while your brain's still stimulated, you're not going to get good sleep. So there's a certain factor, there's a certain sequence that you have to go through, that you have to make sure you do every single day in order to get good sleep, to reach those stage 3, stage 4 deep sleep. All right, that's so crucial, guys. And I talk about this a lot more in the sleep blueprint in the Muscle University archives on my website. If you guys ever want to learn more about sleep, different stages of sleep, go to my website, themuscleu.com, go to learning and click on and download the PDF, the sleep blueprint. You're going to learn all about sleep, the different stages of sleep, plus some awesome bonus material in there that is going to change the way you view the world. Straight up. So Dusty, you got any extra things to add for recovery? How to help people recover better?
You just want to make sure, like you talked about stress, but just to get into that a little bit, we kind of touched on this a few of our last sessions, but you want to get your body into, going from the sympathetic to being able to calm down, so if you're always in that stressed and sympathetic state, you're not going to be utilizing, your nutrients the way you need. Your workouts aren't going to be the same. You aren't going to sleep the same. So like you talked about, it could be meditation, it could be yoga, whatever things help you calm your body down. Then you're able to utilize, your workout better. You're able to utilize all the food you're eating. So that's just a big part of, being able to recover and actually utilizing everything you just did that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And even breath work, even just focusing on breath work. Wim Hof is a leading expert in this because he talks about how creating stress in your body actually de-stresses and creates more long-lasting health in your body. And you do that through creating and utilizing your diaphragm to control your breath. Breath work is a key thing, along with meditation, to really start to help your body get into that parasympathetic state, which is going to be where you see the most recovery. Amen. That's good. So make sure, you guys, that you're resting well, making sure you're good sleep, and making sure you're managing your stress. Don't always think you can just go, 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 go. Even the most successful billionaires, Elon Musk, even he, in his 100-hour work weeks, he still sets time aside to reset. He understands the importance of recovery, of resetting. His brain will only work so much until it shuts down. All right, you got to reset. All right. So next, guys, speaking of the brain, let's move into one of the biggest reasons why people just don't see success. It's because their mindset is poor. Their mindset is, well, shit. So we got to make sure that your mind is up to par, that your mind is thinking in terms of, I can, and you believe that you can do it. So we need to make sure that, guys, that's key. Belief. There's a fundamental almost rule of nature for human beings that if you believe you can, you absolutely will, right? There's a famous quote, whether you believe you can or believe you can't, you're absolutely right. Absolutely. 100% of the time. By shifting your belief, you shift your life. By shifting your thoughts, how you think, you change your entire life, your entire perception. Now, the biggest thing, guys, when you're talking about mindset, it's not just all about thinking. That is absolutely the doorway, but it's more than that. It's about your habits. It's about creating success habits that allow you to cultivate a growth mindset, that allow you to continue to grow and to become your highest self, to unleash your full potential. And this is what we do here in Fast Mass Bodybuilding. It's not all just about training. It's not all just about nutrition. We help you cultivate your growth mindset. We help you unleash it and really become unstoppable, an unstoppable force of human nature, which is what we all are. But we've been beaten down. We've been turned into sheep and herded. It's time to get us out of that mentality and time to break free and unleash our potential. So in order to do that, focus on cultivating success habits. All right. Analyze your day. See what habits you have currently right now, because we all have habits. We all have sequences of things that we do, repetitious and repetitive action that either help us or hurt us. All right. It's important to analyze what those patterns are, and then from there, we can fix them. We can change them. We can make sure they're healthy, successful habits. Success habits such as reading every day, continuing to learn and expand your mind. If you're not learning, I always say you're dying, because the only time we're not changing, we're not learning, we're not constantly growing is when we're dead. All right. So if you have accepted that you're not going to learn anything, there's nothing left to learn in this world, well, my friend, you're already dead. There's no point for anything else, because we got to constantly learn. So shift that. Make sure you're staying in this, I'm learning new things, because every single interaction you have between any new person, any person you've already known, you can always learn something from that conversation, always. And any interaction, just walking to your car from your house through the driveway, you can learn something. There's always things to learn. You just got to be aware and open-minded to them. That's huge, guys. So with that being said too, lack of discipline is going to be a negative habit that you must break right now. Lack of discipline and lack of consistency. Those two factors, Dusty, I'm sure you can agree, are seriously why a lot of people are not seeing success. We just give up too easily. We don't push ourselves. We don't strive to continuously do something. We think, oh, I'm no good at this. I'll never be good at this. Screw this. I'm out of here. Well, that's not the way to live, guys, because you're not going to be good at something the first time you do it. I absolutely sucked at speaking the first time I did it. The second time, the third time, the fourth time, and the fifth time. I was horrible. Probably still am, so I'm sorry. But with that being said, you have to learn. You'll only get good at something if you continuously do it. And if you continuously do it, you absolutely will get good at it. That is a guaranteed fact, right?
Just to put some science behind that, what we've learned is that healthcare only accounts for 20% of a person's recovery, whether, they're sick and they go to the doctor. Only 20% of what, we can do as healthcare workers accounts for their ability to get better. But 40% comes from their own mindset and how they feel they will actually get better.
Wow.
So PT, we may be able to, help them come up with exercise, strengthen certain areas to get better. But if they truly believe PT is not going to work for them, they're only able to get so much better. That other 40% is going to be based on how they actually view it. So it is a huge part of, everything you do. So, yeah.
That's some hard facts right there. That's some hard data, guys. It's not just this, oh, you got to think positive way of action. That's not what we're talking about. It's you have to, at your roots, in your DNA, you have to believe. You have to believe that you can do it. That's it. That's the start. From there, then it's actually worth traveling the path. But if you don't even believe that the path is going to lead you somewhere progressive and lead you somewhere that's going to be life-changing for you, why would you even take a step on it from the start? You're always going to be sabotaging yourself on that path. That's what it is. If you subconsciously, in your mind, think that you're never going to really achieve it, you're always going to be stuck in this place, you've been here forever and you'll always be here, then you're going to sabotage yourself as you actively try to take steps to get better. That's where we see a lot of the issues. And I believe that's where in a clinical setting, we see a lot of this stuff. It's that active sabotage. That's it, guys. So stop sabotaging yourself. Believe you can do it. Start to create successful habits. Focus on the fundamentals. Fix your gut. Stop eating sugar. Stop drinking soda. Make sure you drink water and take your probiotics. Get your green vegetables in. All right. Make sure you're eating 5 to 6 smaller meals more frequently throughout the day, every 2 to 3 hours. Make sure you're focusing on your recovery, managing your stress, getting a lot of sleep, a lot of good quality sleep, and the mindset. Mindset's always, it's last, it's first, it's in the middle, it's everything, guys. It is everything. That's killer. Got any final thoughts, Dusty?
No, I think we hit all 5 pretty good. So
Yeah, nailed it. Love it. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. That is the 5 reasons why you are not building the muscle mass you want to see, or the 5 reasons you are not seeing the progress in the gym that you want to see. So, guys, thank you for joining us. We are so glad to be able to drop this knowledge for you, and I hope that some of this resonated with you. I hope you can take these bits and pieces and at least acknowledge them as truth and start to dive in and learn and do more research on your own. Because ultimately, we're just opening the door for you. You got to take the step. You got to take the step through it and put in the work and start to cultivate that success in your own life. So thank you, guys. This is the performance coaching call for Fast Mass Bodybuilding. We're here to help you build the body of your dreams and help you learn the fundamentals along the way. Until next week, guys, we'll see you then. Hi guys, thank you for watching this video. I am so honored to be here, to be your guide, and to help you build the body of your dreams. If you found this video useful, if you liked it, share it with a friend, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, smash the bell so you can get notified when we create more muscle building content so you can learn the keys and the fundamentals of success. Thank you guys again for watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.